You are what you eat, from your head down to your feet. So keep it fresh and clean, and eat your broccoli. You are what you eat, from your head down to your feet. So keep it fresh and clean, and eat your broccoli. From the clouds to the earth, the rain gives birth to the seeds and makes them grow. Up from the dirt with no...
I thought I would start by telling you that I was not a health nut, and I didn't plan to ever have children. So I was not thinking ahead and going, someday in my future I will be giving a talk like this. What led me here was actually a series of crises. And I want to quickly tell you about the crises I went through and just give you some context as to how I arrived at this place so that you can see that I just wasn't raised this way or born this way, or that it was something we did at home. It sort of was an evolution of necessity for me. So I found this to be really important for me, but now that I have these children, I have found it to be incredibly obvious when they're well-fed and when they're not. And their behavior changes. They get a glazed look in their eye. They don't sleep as well. They start fighting. All of the things that we, in society, people call indicative of bad behavior. They might even label it as a disease. They might even want to drug it. And I have personally watched that when my kids have been poorly fed for a day or a couple days, and then they suddenly get a dose of nutrition, it radically shifts those things that we don't think nutrition affects often. So there are a lot of things a child needs to thrive, and I don't want to claim, though my family thinks I believe diet is the end-all, be-all. I don't want to claim that it's the only thing a child needs to thrive. The stuff is obvious that children need. Love, safety, nutritious food, time in nature is a hugely important thing. Creative free play, also hugely important. Daily rhythm. I balked at this when I became a parent because I like free-flowing life and don't need a structure, or so I thought. And I heard that from age 2 to 3, kids are going to need, a really intense structure in order to be well balanced. And I was like, well, then I'm going to have a restructuring myself, because there's no way I'll be able to provide that. And I realized that when I do provide it, it makes a huge impact in how I feel, not just how they feel. So quality sleep is also hugely important to a child thriving. These are all obvious things, but it's amazing when you're in the thick of it that you forget. Like, why is she freaking out? I mean, I did put her in bed at 10:30 last night, but I don't understand, So the thing we're going to focus on today mostly is nutritious food. Okay, here's where I'm going to be really brave. I'm about to show you a before picture of myself. Roberta's excited. So when I was in college, first of all, I should tell you I had a series of health problems. High school and college, I was seeing doctor after doctor after doctor. These were specialists in their fields. They were running tests, putting me in the hospital, run 3 days of tests. They would say, sorry, we don't know what's wrong with you. Come back if you faint again. And it was getting ridiculous. So here I am there.
No.
Yep, that's me. I weighed over 30 pounds more than I do now. And I love your faces. You look shocked. This is so awesome. I wish you could see my view right now. So beyond just the weight, I had no energy whatsoever. I didn't realize it, but I was allergic to tons of different foods that I was eating. And so I would eat these foods, and I would have a series of reactions, but I just thought something was wrong with me, and I didn't realize I was causing it. It was in college, and I lived in a dorm, so I wouldn't be able to get out of my mind what was wrong, and I finally stumbled upon this amazing practitioner in Oklahoma who within 5 minutes told me more about what was going on with my body than years of experts. And so that was a light bulb moment. And one of the things he said was, your digestive tract is non-functional, you're highly allergic to several foods that you're eating continuously, and you're way too busy. I was doing 80 hours a week of places I just had to be. It didn't include things like sleeping and homework and time with friends and eating, and it was just places I had to be. So I was stressed out, not eating, all over the place, and had this massive breakdown. And he looked at me and he said, you're going to have to actually relearn how to do things that are very basic. You're going to have to relearn how to sleep, eat, drink water, and take care of yourself as if you were a child. And I began a journey that took a year. I did heavy doses of very targeted supplements to target the organs that were not functioning very well. I began to learn how to eat. Well, fortuitously, at the same time, I took a health and nutrition class. And the instructor said, guess what, everyone? I used to have cancer. I cured myself of cancer with food. And I'm sitting there like, whoa, are you serious? And she began to describe what she did that I'm going to teach you for your kids and for yourselves in a minute, called the Add To principle. But she said every time you eat, no matter what you eat, don't change what you're eating, add to what you're eating. Something that's raw and alive. So if you're having a hamburger, you also have salad. If you're having oatmeal, you also have banana. You allow, you don't tell yourself, Heather, you can't have any of these foods you've eaten for the rest of your life, cold turkey. You just add to with these vital raw foods. And she kind of just said that and left it alone, and I took her advice. Well, I found that after I ate like 2 days of raw foods, I came back to my dorm bounding with energy, and I was shocked because I told you I couldn't even hardly walk or move. And so I remember thinking, this couldn't possibly be the food I've been eating, could it? And a month went by, and suddenly I had a shocking experience because my taste buds changed. And I would approach the food planning to add to, and the thing I wanted was not the food I had been eating before. It was the vital fresh food that I had been adding to, and I started to crave that. Well, that just led one thing after another. So eventually, years later, I'm sort of like this raw, natural, healthy, grounded, real food junkie, and I see it and I literally go, candy, like I just want to peel off the kale and start to eat it. No pressure, you don't have to be like that. These are my kids. Lavender is 8 and Moss is 5, and they are just everything to me. And their bright, smiling faces, when they're like in their skin and playing and feeling great, as a mom, since I see them so much, I recognize that. And when they are struggling with their energy level, their emotions, I recognize that. And my go-to 9 times out of 10 is like, okay, let's get back to the basics. Here's some water. Here's something vital to eat. Do we need a timeout and cuddle? Do we need to go out in nature and just start running? So I try to just immediately go to the basics in order to keep those smiles so bright and happy. It's because I love them that I do this. So sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it would be easier to just drive through McDonald's and feed them French fries, much easier. But then in the long run, it would be much harder because the child then I would be dealing with would be, I think, emotionally and physically less calm, less able to manage. So I would actually probably be shooting myself in the foot, not 10 years later, but like 3 hours later. It's all about kind of looking ahead. So I have some ideas for you. I should tell you I'm not a chef. And I'm not a nutritionist, so don't blame me if this is not, scientifically proven or something like that. Okay, here quickly I want to give you some examples of when it's affected my kids really dramatically to eat well. Several years ago, my kids were like 5 and 2, and they were at each other's throats, just so whiny, upset all the time, like really, it was really intense. And they would wake up in the morning and they couldn't even open a book or start playing. They would be at my bedside like, I'm hungry, like panicking. Well, our doctor, who was the same practitioner that I had originally seen that helped me so much, he said, Heather, all 3 of you are showing signs of candida, which is a yeast overgrowth in your body, and you should immediately go on a candida diet to try to help that. So for 3 weeks, we removed anything that could be turned into a sugar from our body, from our diet, and from our bodies. So it was so hard because even things like carrots were off the table, fruit was off the table. But what was shocking was what happened to my kids, because within a few days or a week, I noticed that they would wake up in the morning and start happily playing, and it would be 30 minutes to an hour before they said, "Mom, I'm hungry." And their smiles returned. They became calm with each other. It was really like a night and day experience. So that was one of my aha moments. Like, yet again, nutrition has a dramatic effect on who they are, how they are, their behavior towards me, toward each other, toward the world around them. And this is a side note, I'm a firm believer that when a child is well tended, that all of their energy is freed up to do the work of growing, which is hugely important. Their bodies are growing, their spirits are growing, their minds are growing, their relationships are growing, they're unfolding. And when they have everything they need, it's like a tree that's got the nutrients in the soil, it's got the water and the sunshine, it has what it needs to rise to high heights. And so, let's keep going. I am going to give you some great ideas about breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, and when you're out and about and on the go and you have no food on you and it's really important to like suddenly feed them. So, for breakfast, I love it when I can feed them a smoothie of some kind, and I love it when it has really vital stuff in it, but lately they've been like balking at green smoothies. They did them for a while without any problem. So I'm hiding the greens now by doing a ton of blueberry, because the blueberry sort of makes it this dark purple color. My son calls them a black smoothie. Mom, I want a black smoothie. I'm like, great. And then I'm like, it's really purple, but whatever. We won't argue. So I try to give them some nutrition in their smoothie, and then I really love it when I can start with tofu scramble. Obviously, it's not possible all the time because of time constraints. So I will do like oatmeal and stuff like that. But when I can, and what I wanted to show you was what you do with tofu, because often you see this package like this at the store. I should have shown you before I opened it. And you're like, it's a cube of white stuff. What do I do with that, right? So I'm showing you. You drain this water out, and you sometimes give it a little extra squeeze to get the water out. And then you're just going to crumble it into the pan. And scrambles can have any vegetable that you want in there with them. And they can be seasoned with any herb, sea salt, black pepper. You can go crazy. So here's what it's starting to look like as I crumble it. And we're going to give it the look of scrambled eggs. But here's the key ingredient if you want it to turn yellow. It's called turmeric. Yeah, it's a seasoning, and I believe it's Indian. And when you sprinkle that on there and you mix it up, suddenly the entire thing has the yellow color. Also, this is really good for your health. So now I'm going to stick that in I love to use virgin coconut oil, but you can, decide amongst yourselves how you like to do that. I will stick a little bit of that in the pan on medium heat, throw that in, start throwing in vegetables, onions, tomatoes, mushrooms, you name it. And it's just delicious. So you can throw some whole grain toast and their smoothie and that tofu scramble, and it's like a great way to start the day, and I think it gives them a lot of energy. Okay, let's talk about lunch. So it's really handy if you can afford it to buy these pre-mixed greens. It's a little more expensive, so do what you need to do, but it's so handy to just reach in and be like, here, salad. For lunch I would always include something vital and alive, like the salad. And it could be sliced up celery sticks, it could be, anything, carrots, you name it, little pile of raw nuts. Now here's my easy mom tip. Don't make a fresh whole big meal for lunch if you don't have the time. Leftovers are king and queen at my house, absolutely. So this is actually last night's leftovers from my dinner at home, and this meal is what I'm going to talk about with dinner. It's a staple for us. It's greens, grains, and beans of some sort. So this is actually lentils, and this is a wild rice and forbidden rice combination. This is kale, but it can be any combination. And the whole point is, like if I was at home and I was serving them lunch, or if I was going to send them a lunch tote to school, dinner was done last night and it gets thrown in a Tupperware and thrown into their lunchbox, and lunch is done for the next day. And it's so much easier than making a fresh meal.
What's the orange?
This is sweet potato.
Oh, sweet potato.
Yeah, so my staple meal I cook all the time is greens, grains, and beans. And then when I'm feeling decadent, I throw in a sweet potato. But you can throw in anything you want. also, this meal, you can just do endless variations, and I'll talk about that in 1 second.
Heather, can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Do you ever do cereal with your kids in the morning?
I don't.
You don't? Okay. So I was going to ask you between the two.
I'm not knocking it, but I find, you know what, it's a personal thing. When I eat cereal in the morning, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't have enough energy. I feel that like weird sugary sort of, I'm not getting a solid start to the day. So for that reason, I don't give it to them. But they've never actually said to me, I don't feel good when I eat cereal. That's just me.
Do you have a cereal, Mary, that you like?
No. And I feel the same way. That's cereal. So I don't.
Are you talking cereal or like oatmeal?
No, cereal.
Cereal bars.
I might have like muesli or something maybe if I do it.
Okay, I'm going to start going faster because I've got a lot of material here I'd love to share with you. So let's go down through the food and then we'll dive back into some other notes I have. For dinner, I have discovered that corn tortillas are my best friend because I can serve any vegetable I want, and if I serve it with corn tortillas, my kids are happy. I don't know why. So you take 2 tortillas together and douse them with water, then stick them in the skillet. And turn them. They get that like weird kind of cool crispy thing that they get at restaurants. So the water and the 2 together, it's a really big key. Anytime my kids are balking, organic ketchup is also my friend. I resisted this for years, saying, it's got sweetener and I don't want to do that. And finally I realized, like, kale with ketchup, no kale. I'm going to go with ketchup. So it's what I pull out of my back pocket if Moss is not wanting to eat his vegetables. This is a seasoning that is kind of like soy sauce. It's Bragg amino acids, and I use it on everything. I stick it on the beans, I stick it on the greens and grains. It's got natural amino acids in it and delicious, so I highly recommend it. I would find a salad dressing that you approve of that your kid loves. So when you serve up that salad, it's easy to be like, hey, do you want the such and such dressing or the such and such dressing? You're offering 2 different great options, and they get into the idea of getting to choose. I don't know if you all know how to prepare kale, but I just thought I would. So it starts like a leaf like this. This is what I do. I take the spine, and I fold the leaf over, and I pull the leaves off, and then I just tear them to bite size and prepare them that way. So that's what you do with kale. I also love making roasted vegetables, and you can get the wildest, coolest vegetables from the market and slice them up and roast them, and it's just, I mean, my gosh, because of the diet I've had for so long, I now see this and I'm like, this looks like candy to me. I want to just dive right in. Snacks. Oh, let me talk a little bit more about this dinner. So you can buy beans in bulk. You can buy beans. I don't prefer cans, but you can buy them in cans. Some places might serve them in jars. You can do the beans and the grains and the greens for so cheap. I figured it up once and I could serve like my whole family for like $2 because once I bought it, you know, and divvied it up, it went so far. So it's a really stable, staple, cheap, nutritional way to just put dinner on the table at night. And for a busy mom, you can do a crock pot, bean pot, you can get the beans and rice going in a pressure cooker. The kale, sometimes I even make it all together and I add the kale at the end. And once this goes in, as I'm stirring it on the low heat, it just cooks itself in the beans and rice mixture. So you don't have to go to long lengths for that one. Snacks. I love to do trail mixes like nuts and dried fruit for them, or rice cakes and throw some nut butter on top. These little tools are really handy, those things that will slice an apple for you, because then it's like one slice and here guys, here's a snack. I'm all about it being easy. Pre-cut, made, ready, washed carrots are really handy. Okay, when you're out and about and you've got to have a snack for them, you can stop at King Soopers and pick up some of these things. You can stop at even a convenience store and pick up some of these things. So Cliff Bar is a bar that's sold even at the local gas station. I love knowing about that because it's like if I'm in a jam in the middle of nowhere, I can serve them a Cliff Bar and a banana or something. Lara bars, they have at King Soopers and all other places. These are my 2 kids' favorites, and I love giving them options. Hey guys, you can pick any Lara bar you want. And then they get to choose their flavor. What's awesome about things like this is it's just nuts and fruit. So there's no chemicals, there's no added stuff. It's just real food. These are amazing because they are bars that contain things like spirulina and cashew and broccoli. and they're coated in a layer of chocolate. So if my son, if he says, "Mom, can I have an organic green bar?" He thinks it's like a candy bar, and I always act like he's getting a big treat, and I act like he's twisting my arm, and I'm like, "All right." And inside I'm going, "Yes, he's gonna eat broccoli," and he doesn't even know it. So I recommend those. These things are a recent discovery for me. I think they're kind of recent to our market. They're baby food, essentially, in these little twist-off packs, and you can get them at all kinds of places. I would definitely look to make sure that there's no added stuff in there, that it's organic ingredients, because they sell them. They have the really pure ones for not much money, so why get the yucky ones for the same amount? And I purposely get the ones that don't actually say baby on them, so that Moss will actually think it's cool to eat them. If they say baby, he's like, "I'm not a baby," and he doesn't want to do it. But it's great. You can throw it in your purse, and they're hungry, and there's like whole food that they're eating, and it was so easy. Okay, dessert. This is an option. We've got the recipe right here. Also, you can crunch up nuts and put in like almond butter and a little agave maple or honey and coconut flakes, dried fruit. You roll it into balls and freeze it. And then once it comes out of the freezer in an hour, they are what we call raw cookies, and they're absolutely delicious. And it's just raw ingredients, so good for you. Okay, so let's talk about. I'm going to just rattle some stuff out because we don't have much time. If you or someone you know is in the position of being near having children, or your children are having children, or somebody is having a child around you, it's really important that they know that breastfeeding is the best option for a child's nutrition. It's night and day what it does for a child versus bottle feeding. And the worldwide average of what age, does anyone want to guess the worldwide average of what age a child weans worldwide?
5.
It is. It's between 4 and 5 years old. And that is so different from this country, so it's a kind of shocking number to us. But it's really important that kids have that start. At about 6 months of age, you can start to introduce other foods, and it's best to start with soft orange vegetables or mashed avocado, so like carrot, sweet potato. You want to immediately get their palate used to actual nutrition. And as you go along, something that is really fascinating to me is that the child's palate narrows at age 3. So if you don't feed a child a wide range of vegetables before age 3, their palate's going to go like this. And if you've given them everything under the sun as a vegetable before that point, then when it narrows, it still includes lots of things that they'll like. If you've only given them 3 vegetables before age 3, then when it narrows, they're like, "Oh, I'll only eat chicken fingers, sorry, Mom." So that's a really important thing. Like when they're young, just introduce them to everything you can. Things you want to avoid. You may know this, but you want to avoid corn syrup. You want to avoid red dye number 40. It's associated with behavior problems. Anything processed, anything that has a chemical additive. If you look at the ingredient list and it's like crazy chemical sounding words you don't even know how to pronounce, 9 times out of 10, you should avoid that food. I also like to think of this rule of thumb. If sugar is one of the first 4 ingredients on the label, it's probably a sugary food that you should avoid. That Candida experience really informed that. Because I thought we were eating well, and I didn't realize our milk had sugar, and our crackers had sugar, and our everything, it was sneaky sugar. It wasn't like, look, I'm a dessert. Another thing you can ask yourself is, did it grow this way? When the food you're about to eat, did it grow this way? I like that question. In our house, we call foods that are good for them, we call them strong food. So if my kids are saying, "Mom, I want a piece of toast," or I really want a piece of dessert, or, whatever they're saying, I'm always like, "Well, have you finished your strong food?" Or, "Actually, your body really needs strong food tonight." And they know what that means. So they'll even say, "Mom, I finished my strong food. Can I please have the whatever it is?" Okay.
Can I try that on my husband? Do you think?
Yes. So if you want to change your child's diet from not that great to amazing without taking away foods they love, the add to principle I mentioned earlier. So don't change anything about what they're eating. Just every time they eat, introduce something that's vital and alive. And it could be a raw fruit, vegetable, nut, and try it for a month. Just try it. Don't take anything away, but just add 2. And then when they finally, a month later, are like, Mom, I really want a salad, you'll have this inner like, yes. Okay, secret weapon to eat veggies. You don't ask them if they want to eat veggies. You don't give them a choice of whether or not they're going to eat veggies. But options are your secret weapon. So, broccoli's on the plate. Would you like Bragg's on your broccoli or tahini dressing, Moss? Bragg's. And he doesn't get the option to say no broccoli. It's just he gets a choice within the choice that I'm guiding. I do that with all kinds of things. So, do you want broccoli or green beans tonight? Or do you want to dip it in ketchup? Or how about you can add your own seasonings? This is a really great thing. I'll stick a little jar of herbs de Provence and a little jar of pink sea salt and some sea vegetables in little containers that are like seasonings, like all chopped up in a little jar. And they just go to town, and they'll just sprinkle their food and play chef. And then my rule is, once you season a food, you have to eat it. Because they got it at one point so like over seasoned, they were like, "Whoa, it's gross! I can't do that." So now they have to check themselves. So it's really important to let your children get involved. I notice that my kids want to eat it more when they've been a part of the entire process. So if we go to the store and I'm like, "Guys, I want you to pick out the weirdest vegetable you can find," and they're like, "Look, Mom, this one is shaped like a dagger," and then we get it home and they're helping with the washing and the cutting and then when it finally makes it to the table, it just seems like they're more likely to want to enjoy it. So you can look for the prettiest, most colorful, surprising texture. Send them on a mission. I love going to farmers markets because it's like straight from the source and it's so much fun. And then it turns it into a family adventure. So we already talked about all of these ideas, which is great.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What do you do when the kids go to their friend's house to play?
So I've handled it different ways. Sometimes I'm so confident that the majority of their diet is fabulous that I'm like, it'll be okay if they fudge a little. And other times I'm really feeling like it's important that they hold to it, and I will send snacks. Or I will demean my diet to the other mom, and I'll say, "I'm so sorry, we eat a really weird diet. So I hate to put that on you. Would it be okay if I just sent food with my kids? I don't want you to feel pressured to have to buy them additional food." And I put my own diet down so that I'm not like saying, I'm high and mighty and I won't feed my kids the crap you're feeding your kids.
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah.
I don't know if it works.
That's a great strategy.
So virgin coconut oil is my friend. I have recently come across the information, and I'm not a nutritionist yet again, but that it's better to heat coconut oil or something like that or do it in water versus another kind of oil that coconut oil doesn't turn into a bad fat, supposedly, the way the other oils turn into a bad fat. But I'm saying this in front of Sharon. She may know differently. So let's talk about the things that are important to a child besides the diet. Time in nature is crucial, crucial, crucial. We don't spend enough time in nature. We don't realize how much we need it. But the child, you can tell when they haven't spent enough time in nature. So this is pictures from a hike we took recently. And when I was actually preparing this talk, I didn't know what they were doing. They were in a sandbox. And I'm sitting over there writing notes down. And I come over, and they have made me, because my birthday was this last Wednesday, they made me a pizza, a salad, and a birthday cake. And I just thought it was so amazing that they showed my add to principle here with the salad. So they had worked really hard, and they were very proud of it. And so I just noted that the time in nature and the free creative play is so important. The plenty of sleep is so important. I will add that when they've been really out of it, I can tell that they need a little more than just what I can give, and I'll take them to a practitioner that's like the one I originally saw. He's in town here, and he and his wife will help them, their spine and their alignment and everything, just get back flowing or see if they've got any allergies going on. And it's been amazing to watch. Actually, when a child's cranial bones are out of alignment, they can exhibit aggressive behavior. And when my son is just acting really aggressive and crazy and I have him adjusted, he suddenly turns into an angel child again, which is amazing. We have 5 minutes, I'm aware. So the thing that we have discussed, Lisa, what's the most important is that you love your child. And if you live inside that love with your child, as you're cutting up their food, as you're tucking them in at night, as you're picking them up from school or wherever you're interacting with them, allow yourself to actually go into the space of love you already have for them and be present with who they are and who you are. I think that love is so much more important than even their diet or anything else that they're experiencing. You are the sun to them. You are the moon. You are the world. You provide the source of love, and by giving that to them, because it's in you already, but when you actually offer it to them in your daily interactions with them, I think it goes a long way to creating vibrant, healthy, happy children and setting them up for success later in life. Okay, so quickly I'm going to show you, it's a really fast video, and this was them after they made that food. So what did you guys just make?
We made cakes, some salad, but it's all gone, and pizza.
The salad is all gone? Is that what you said? I think I still see salad on those plates. Isn't it the leaves and twigs right there?
Yes.
Looks really good. I am. Goody. So, yeah. I'm going to fast forward a little bit to get to the surprise ending. I asked them what their favorite dinners are. Thank you. Lavender said she loves
I think it's a pretty
roasted
cool
vegetables.
birthday myself.
Moss said he loves rice and beans and greens. And they were just talking to me about food, and I just wanted to
That's what you
say that
needed
they
to
actually
do.
eat this stuff, and they're happy about
You
it.
guys are so precious.
And in a minute, Moss starts being a jokester, so I started laughing really hard at him, and the camera starts shaking. But you'll miss that part. So let's run to the end.
Oh yeah. So what's your favorite dinner we eat?
Pizza.
I think you guys just have pizza on the break because we don't really eat that much at home.
So we started talking about their favorite toppings for pizza, and Moss said kale was his favorite.
Okay, love you.
Goodbye, people who are watching this video.
Goodbye.
I didn't tell her I was doing that.
Goodbye, people. Goodbye,
So the next day they took me out for my birthday and they got vegan pizza with a side of kale. I just thought you'd all know because they had it on their brain. So I am so grateful to have had these moments with you. Thank you. And maybe out in the hall we can make more mousse if any of you want to have more. I definitely want some. Also, right now at Whole Foods, a lady named Asia is demoing Vitamixes through the 17th. And she has, additional to the Vitamix and the Vitamix book, her own recipe she's used on her kids. And they are unbelievable. Lemon basil sorbet, chocolate mint ice cream, all made in the Vitamix with real food. So you can stop by there and taste stuff that she's making through the 17th and get her recipes as well. And I'm so grateful to have had this time with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.